Welcome to the AdSense Flippers Podcast. Are you sick and tired of gurus who have plenty of ideas but are short on substance? Worried that ebook you bought for $17.95 won't bring you the personal and financial freedom you long for? Hey, you're not alone. Join thousands of others in their pursuit of niche profits without the bullshit. Straight from your hosts, Justin and Joe of AdSense Flippers.
Welcome to episode 16 of the AdSense Flippers Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Cook, and I'm here with my business partner extraordinaire, Joe Hot Money Magnotti. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, everybody.
We've got a great episode lined up for you this week. We're specifically going to be talking about sweeping distractions aside, trying to get some of the things that have to get done in your business out of the way, and so that you can get into some of the revenue-generating activities that are really going to drive your business forward. First, we're going to do some updates, news, and information. First thing, we've got a new 5-star iTunes review, man.
Hit me up.
So here's the deal. It's from Drummond Logan. He says, excellent podcast. Justin and Joe are naturals when it comes to podcasting. I've been building niche sites for years and still take away some good info from almost all of their podcasts. Plus, they're easy to listen to while I run. Keep up the good stuff, guys. Well, I'm glad he's running. He's exercising, and he's getting his dose of AdSense Flippers, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. You know, we've had some good email comments as well. I don't have the specifics in front of me right now, but, you know, if you ever want to just drop us a note and say thanks, it does go a long way.
Yeah, it really makes you feel good when you get those emails and you're like, oh, I really appreciate it, or I've been struggling with this business problem. You guys helped me out. I really dig that stuff. So next thing is we had a birthday weekend bash, man. You're an old man.
Yeah, I'm 37. You know, your birthday is a day before mine, so it's kind of nice that it fell on a Friday and Saturday, and we got those things out of the way.
Yeah, it was fun, man. We had a good party. We'll put some pictures of the party up on AdSense Flippers Facebook, but it was good, man. We had some friends over, ate some cake, had a good time, had some delicious food, had it catered. It was awesome.
Well, I got to stay away from the cake because I'm on a diet, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. So next thing we want to talk about is I have a new assistant. So here's the funny thing. We run an outsourcing company, and I forgot to outsource. So we were talking about this. I didn't have an assistant, so a lot of the things that I do, like putting the blog posts up, editing them, getting them ready, looking for pictures, I can have an agent do that. Why am I doing that, right? So we said, hey, why don't we just add someone, and hopefully we can push out more content that way. I think it's really helpful. So we're getting her up to speed this last week. We'll be doing it again this week, and hopefully knocking out some more content here in the near future.
Yeah, and she was a very qualified agent. It's a good thing we found a way to repurpose her when her project went away. I think we'll be very happy with her in a new position now.
Yeah, the silver lining for losing a TriBPO customer, right?
So I've been doing a lot of the tedious work here, Justin, while you're getting to the content. I'm doing a lot of the grinding it out stuff for AdSense Flippers and for TriBPO. Yeah,
we had a good talk last night over some drinks about specifically what we should be focused on over this next quarter. And I think we need to review our quarterly and our annual goals to make sure that's in line. But I think we really hashed some stuff out. We'll probably be talking about that again in some blog posts here in the near future. One of the other things we were doing is we're changing our link building strategy. That's going to be a bit costly, man. I'm not looking forward to the extra spend we got there. We've been kind of slacking off, having it kind of easy with dumping article marketing and just using BMR. But now that we're going to be going back to article marketing, we're going to go at it full force. So
yeah, I'm pretty confident that we're actually going to see better results from our sites by going back to article marketing. I really think that we'll see a pop in ranking, and that translates to more revenue, and more revenue translates to higher sales price.
I'm stoked about it. It's kind of a nichepursuits.com light link building strategy. He does a lot more. He spends a lot more on his sites though too. So we're really trying to keep it cheap. So what we're going to do is we're going to outsource to a vendor to write some of the content and get that out. We could do it a lot cheaper in-house, but it's better than hiring all the people first, getting them started, then figuring out, oh, we don't want to do it that way, and firing a bunch of people. I'd rather pay a bit more to have someone outside do it, and then we'll just cut our costs by taking it over.
Yeah, I love the idea of having a service do something for us until we can figure out how to do it better, cheaper, and easier. So let's pay them the premium at first and then figure it out from there.
The other thing we're working on is renewing our Philippines business licenses and permits.
Oh my God.
That's horrible, man. It's a horrible process.
Yeah, here in the Philippines, it's very bureaucratic. It's very third world. It's very old school. I don't think, my grandparents had to file taxes, permits, and business licenses this way. Things are just all done on paper here.
Yeah, it's really frustrating too because we're taking, it takes time away from some of the tasks or things we really do want to focus on, that are going to drive our business forward. We have goals to hit for our business that we need to do, and getting distracted for a month at a time trying to renew licenses is definitely not going to help us get there, right?
It's not, but it's a good thing we have a little bit of a staff to handle that for us and help us with that. Because if we had to do it individually, it would be a nightmare.
Well, that leads pretty well into the heart of this week's episode, which is all about sweeping distractions aside. Let's get right into it.
The AdSense Flippers Podcast.
So there are really two types of distractions we want to get into today. The first would be one-off distractions, and I would call these like life events. So things like moving to a new city, getting married, having a baby, death in the family, these types of things where, it's problematic for your business. It definitely gets in the way, but it's something obviously you have to deal with. It's in your life, right? It's something that you need to work through, but it's not something that's going to be a consistent problem for you long term.
Yeah, most people are going to have those one-time changes, and it's something that you need to plan to deal with. But the real distractions are the reoccurring distractions, right? They're the sinister ones, the hard ones to catch because they creep up on you and take all your time. Stuff like paying the bills, business licensing, like we were talking about before, updating your resume, looking at the job boards, surfing Odesk, all this kind of stuff that you're doing on a regular basis and it feels like work, but it really isn't. It's
really tough because those things can distract from your business goals, right? They can keep you away from, where you want to take your business. And really the thing you want to be focusing on is what matters, right? Mm-hmm. And the best way to focus on that is by creating value for yourself and others through your focused goals and milestones. You have to hit your milestones. You have to have goal planning in place. And these things, those sinister recurring distractions, to really take away from that.
Yeah, you break those milestones down into either the component tasks week by week, month by month, day by day, as we've said before, and then you realize the tasks that are not part of your projects, that are not part of your overall goals, and you can set those to the side and try to deliver value on the ones that are progressing.
It's funny, we did an episode on partnerships, right? And we were a bit down on partnerships in general, but I think we have some pretty good partnership going here. But there are some things about my personality and about your personality that I think are strengths and weaknesses when it comes to dealing with these types of distractions.
Yeah, I think I'm really good at handling the operational tasks, especially when I have a staff to help me out with them. But I probably take it to kind of a crazy degree. I have a little bit of a obsessive compulsive disorder about it. I need it done the right way.
Yeah.
It needs to be exact. And that helps me get it done, but sometimes I'm so organized that when things get a little unorganized or it's not done the way I want it done, even if it is done, it bothers me.
Yeah, pulling your hair out, that kind of thing. No, I'd say, a benefit for me is that I don't usually sweat the small stuff, right? So I can roll it off my shoulder and keep focused on goals. Now, the problem is that also leads me to sometimes ignore things that really do need to get done, that become more critical, and I'll still let it roll off my shoulder, which probably isn't a good thing. And by the time it gets there, you're freaking out about it and jumping all over me about it anyway, right?
Yeah. That can be a real problem. But we catch each other well, I think, on those two dark sides and good sides of how we approach these kind of issues.
So, here's the breakdown of what we're going to go over. At first, we're going to cover kind of the one-off distractions and give some ways to, avoid having it take up all your time. And then we're going to get into 5 specific or common examples of recurring distractions, kind of talk about some of their inherent dangers, and then, talk about the ways to limit their impact on your business. So talking about one-off distractions, let's talk about when we first moved here to the Philippines, when we were just getting things set up, right? It was a bit of a bear to get all that done.
It was, and I was here by myself when I first got here in August 2009, but honestly, I focused way too much on the personal aspects of the move. Getting the townhouse set up, selecting the place to live in, getting the furniture, making sure we had an internet connection and TVs and cable TV and all this kind of stuff, which here in the Philippines is very difficult to do because you can't just open the phone book and get that stuff done. You have to know someone.
And you were trying to get it done yourself too. You were running around going here, there, and elsewhere, but except they don't have the same stores here. They don't sell the same stuff in the same stores. So trying to find out where to go get an ottoman is insanely difficult.
Yeah, and I don't know why I did it that way. It was really kind of silly of me because back in the U.S., I would handle those things myself because I knew I could do them very quickly.
Yeah.
But here in a foreign country, you definitely learn in a short period of time that that's not the way to do things. Now, the good thing was that our business, when I first got here, I sat down with every employee, right? And I said, how can we improve TryBPO? And one of the first things they said to me was, sir, I need my benefits resolved. I need to make sure they're being paid correctly.
Yeah, I remember there was a bit of an uprising about the benefits. People were really upset, and I guess it hadn't been set up. Some people were set up and others weren't, and they were worried that they weren't getting, the right deductions and everything. It was a mess.
Yeah, our office manager at the time had been deducting from people for like their PhilHealth, which is the equivalent of our Medicaid kind of program, government health plan, and wasn't delegating it towards their account because our company didn't have a number. So instead of trying to wait to get everything set up and all the paperwork, what I did was I hired 2 vans, I put all of our employees in the vans, and I literally went down with 23 employees to every government agency, got everyone registered, got all the paperwork handled within 48 hours. It was an amazing feat of business Accenture getting things done.
That's so funny, man. I wasn't here for that, but I bet it must have been hilarious. I mean, if you walk into the government office here in the Philippines, totally bureaucratic, and you have 23 people with you and say, okay, we're getting this done today, right? At first they're like, oh, you have to come back. You're like, well, we're staying here until it gets done, right?
Yeah, and the funny thing was, they have those little old school ticker things, take a number. You show up with 23 people, they're like, okay, we'll just take you next. Because they want to get you out of the waiting room area, right? They want to get you done and out of there. So it was kind of nice and definitely got things done quickly. Got our employees happy, so.
How would you handle that type of thing in the US? I mean, let's say that you either as a person or as a business are moving, right? You're moving from one office to another. That can be a real bear, a real time suck. It's going to take away from your clients. It's going to take away from your business. How would you handle that?
I think there's 2 ways to handle those kind of one-off situations in the US. One is you take time off from doing business, right? You say for a week, business is closed until we get this move completed. That's it. And in the US, it enables you to laser focus on that one task and get everything done. Business might stop in the meantime, except for the essentials, but at least you can focus on getting that one task done.
If you don't have a momentum problem where, letting it go or something would be problematic for you, that is definitely an opportunity or an option for you, right? But let's say that is a problem for you. Like you're making more from your clients or whatever, you have to stay open for business. How would you handle it?
Definitely have to hire people to do it for you. I mean, in the US, there are plenty of specialized people to do all kinds of one-off life event challenges for you to help you with that kind of stuff.
It really comes down to an ROI at that point, right? I mean, am I making more than I have to pay them to handle this portion for me? Well, in the Philippines, we have the luxurious benefit of being able to overstaff for stuff.
Right, and you wouldn't find the same expertise maybe that you would find in the US. Like a wedding planner here may not have the same expertise as a wedding planner back in the US, but it's good enough. And the nice thing is it's 1/10 of the cost, right? So you can have that all done.
Yeah, so we just had our party done, right? We paid, I think, about $400, and we had it catered. We had everything done that included all the alcohol, and that was for a little over 30 people. So, I mean, pretty cheap, just have someone take care of it for you. John and I were sitting around the townhouse the other day and kind of laughing because someone had pulled up. I think it was like the laundry guys or something. No, it was the chair guys for the party. And we were just kind of sitting around and we were like, hey, can someone take care of that? One of the people that are buzzing around the house or whatever. Can someone, do that or whatever? It's so funny because you would never think that in the US. But here, there are just people like working all around us while we're able to laser-like focus on business. It's so sweet.
Yeah, I love that about the setup that we have here. We're able to absolutely 100% focus on our business because everything else is taken care of. And whenever we hire staff to help us, especially admin staff, whether they just work in the house or they work on getting business licenses and accounting set up for TriBPO, we tell them that. This doesn't make money. Help us focus on what makes money. Make it easy for us. That's your job.
Yeah, around the house, make my life easy. That's your entire goal, is to make my life easy. And it's great. I mean, you can't do that with virtual assistants if you're in the US, right? But they can definitely make your business much easier, right? They can be working while you're sleeping, right? It's fantastic to be able to wake up in the morning and get your reports and be able to get stuff done, right?
Yeah, and it's so cheap that building up a little army of assistants is not a bad idea.
So next thing, let's talk about recurring distractions. The worst thing about recurring distractions is they can really cripple your output. But the problem is you'll still feel busy. You still feel like you're getting stuff done, like, you're effective, and you feel like at the end of the day, you worked a full workday. Unfortunately, what you're putting out was not terribly useful.
Yeah, and a lot of these tasks, though, are important to your business. So you say to yourself, but they have to be done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like accounting tasks, right?
Yeah, first section, accounting tasks. A clear common example of this would be accounts payable.
Yeah, if you don't pay the electric bill, they shut off the electric, right?
Yeah, that's problematic, buddy. But the worst thing, though, is the little bills to pay can become overwhelming, right? They start to add up, and, if you're not taking care of them on a regular basis, then you're falling behind. And a lot of times the bills come in little here, little there. The worst is the really small ones, right? Because you get a ton of those and they're really small. And if you're running a business, you have a lot of people to pay.
Yeah, you do. And you can really automate most of those things. I mean, especially in the US, you can set up automation, bill payment for most services or any type of payments that you may have. For the ones that you don't, though, you should batch those and try to do them all at once so you're not making these small little minute payments all throughout the month distracting you.
Yeah, well, the important thing there, though, too, is you need to make sure you let your vendors know that you're going to be batching. So tell them, I pay out on the 5th and the 20th of the month, whatever the dates are, whatever, but you'll get paid on these dates and that's it, right? As we were talking about this podcast beforehand, I was thinking about like our content providers and how we don't really do that with them now, right? We pay them all like kind of as one-offs. We track it and everything in the spreadsheet, but it's kind of like pay here, pay there, and it is a distraction to us on a day-to-day basis, right?
Yeah, it is, and that needs to be corrected for sure. So that's something we should work on and just tell people, look, it's going to all add up, and then on the 7th and the 22nd, that's when we pay out.
I love when we're doing these episodes and we come up with things we're like, yeah, man, we're not really doing that the way we should, right?
But one thing about automated payments or any monthly payments, you should always review these payments at the end of the month. We have our bookkeeper keep track of all those transactions and then send us a monthly report the month after. And Justin and I sit down and make sure that everything on there is kosher, that everything on there is actually something we need to use. And if we don't, we cancel that. Because if you set up automated billing and you don't review it, and then 6 months down the line, you found out that you don't need that $200 bill, I mean, you've spent $1,200.
Yeah, here's one of the things too. We're talking about accounts payable here. But in accounting, accounts receivable is another section that, you definitely it can be a distraction. The problem with this is that it is higher up the food chain. When you're talking about money here, money that's owed to you, but the real danger is that you could be always chasing old money, not producing new value. So if you're spending a whole bunch of time on accounts receivable trying to go after money that's owed to you, you may or may not get it in a timely fashion, but you're not building anything anymore, right?
Yeah, there are plenty of services out there that will do your collections for you. If you have people that are more than 30 days past due, don't spend your time chasing them down, trying to get money out of them. Hire a collection company, get those done for you, and move on to getting new prospects and people that are willing to pay you on an ongoing basis.
Absolutely. So second point we're talking about is project management and reporting. And I would say the example for us with this would be, the time we spend planning, entering, or reporting on any particular projects. Now, this one's tough, man. This is an ongoing struggle, right? Definitely a recurring problem.
Yeah, it's really easy for this to balloon and not realize how much time it's taking. And then all of a sudden you realize you're taking more time to track, plan, and enter the tasks into whatever system you're using than to actually do them.
That's so ridiculous. And we were worried about that when we started with our project management software. We were like, if we spend more time trying to figure it out and basically trying to put the information in, I'm not going to be happy with this. So a good idea is to limit your time there. But yeah, I mean, if you add bureaucracy, you add time there, it can really take away from your business. The cost starts creeping up and then your margin is slipping, right?
Yeah, and it slows your business down altogether. So obviously that kind of micro level planning probably is not something you need to do. You need to back up a level, put in milestones into something like Basecamp, and leave it at that for projects that are relatively simple.
And really, one of the problems with planning, I think this is a great way to correct it too. One of the problems with planning is that things change day to day, right? I mean, we were talking before our link building strategy and some things we want to do over the next couple of months that may not be in line with our quarterly or annual goals, right? So we need to make sure that they align with the high level strategy, but don't plan out the day-to-day stuff. Don't plan out the minutia, right? That gets in the way because that changes so often. You're spending way too much time entering the information.
Right. And then, use your reports on a weekly basis to adjust your plan. But don't get report overload. I mean, it's really easy for asking your VAs to report to you on a daily basis what they did and how much they did and hourly stuff. I mean, you should have them recording all that, but you don't need to look at that on a daily level. It's distracting.
Yeah, right now we have our lieutenants report once a week, and it's normally before Monday. We have them send in their reports Sunday night usually, and we can kind of get a feel for how the previous week went and some of their plans for this next week or potential pitfalls they see, and we can help guide or counsel them if needed there as they're heading into the next week and kind of review the previous week as well.
Yeah, I mean, as a rule of thumb, we usually say 15% of the time on any project should be spent no more than 15% should be spent towards project planning and entering and reporting. The rest of the time should actually be accomplishing the project.
And always use a VA too, right? That's one of the things. We've been entering our monthly planning. From our monthly planning meetings, we've been entering the information ourselves and getting a bit overloaded. It's ridiculous. Why are we doing that, right? You had the assistant do it.
Yeah. So the next point that we wanted to talk about in terms of recurring distractions are customer service and sales tasks. These are the kind of things where you have questions coming in both pre and post sale from customers, prospects, potential customers, that kind of thing.
Yeah, these are the ones, you get this a lot, right? Especially from the pre-sale customers, right? People asking questions, trying to make sure they got a feel for it. And the funny thing is a lot of the pre-sale questions are from people that never actually end up buying from you. So it can tend to take up a lot of your time and not actually be valuable. This is one of those things where you could definitely be talking to people and feel like you had a really busy day when you ultimately didn't get anything accomplished.
It's so funny, Justin, but the best customers are not only the ones that don't complain and don't ask a lot of questions, they just seem to buy, right? Those are the ones that are real customers.
Yeah, it's funny. The ones that want to or they tell you something like, I'll do a little bit from you now, but there's going to be a lot in the future. So I want you to answer question 1, 2, 3, 4, 4A, 4B, 4C. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and they wind up very rarely buying from you or buying again. So watch your time with those people. And the best way to deal with that is to shorten your sales cycle. Make sure you try to get to the sale faster.
We've had a lot of these in our outsourcing company. We just refer to them as strokers. These are the guys that are going to stroke you, but never actually pull the trigger.
Yeah, you got to ask for the order. You got to make sure you qualify the prospects better to make sure that you get to the sale faster. That's the only way to do it in terms of outsourcing, in terms of most businesses.
And over time, you start to get a real feel for who your real potential whales are, right? A good example of this is like the casinos, right? They chase down the particular whales, and they know the people that go to the casinos and spend a bunch of money, do a lot of gambling, and they chase them down. But not just whales, the whales that are not the best gamblers particularly, right? They'll contact them, they'll negotiate terms in their casino, they'll lay out the red carpet, but they don't do that for anyone, and they don't do that for every whale either. Only the ones they know are heavy gamblers. So support your buyers, basically.
Right, and that brings up a good point, is your post-sale support better be good. Don't slack on this. You want to under-promise and over-deliver. That's one of the big things we've always taken, not just with AdSense Flippers, but in all of our business history. That's kind of a philosophy we've taken, and it's worked out very, very well for us.
Yeah, your best future buyers or potential buyers are the ones who've already taken a step of purchasing something from you, right? So really taking care of your customers post-sale is key. Those are going to get those customers to come back again and again and again and buy from you over and over. Another example is we want to talk about, or a fourth section would be marketing tasks, right? And these would be things like logo design, web design, picking a domain, your company, product names, Try BPO or AdSense Flippers, right? Trying to get our logo done. Those are some of the things we've done. And I think, Try BPO is a pretty good example. We spent a bunch of time dealing with the logo, trying to pick the domain name, right? How silly was that?
So silly. I mean, I'm just remembering back now, 3-4 years ago when we started this company, the outsourcing company, and how much time we spent on that, and it really just didn't matter.
We have friends right now that are doing the same thing, right? They're messing with logos and they're like, do you think it should be here or should it be down a little farther? Should I push it over to that left? Should I cut this part out? Who cares, man? No one cares. Just get something up and start putting out good value. Because ultimately, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Your idea could be a huge flop, so spending hours or weeks or months of your time trying to determine the logo or the domain name is retarded.
Yeah, and once the business is viable, you can always go back and tweak the logo, the naming, or You can hire experts to do that, people that really know what you're doing, instead of just tapping me on the shoulder and going, should it be red or blue, or an inch to the left or an inch to the right? I don't know. I know it's good for me, but I don't know if it's good for your business.
Yeah, I mean, if we had to change the name AdSenseFlippers.com to something else, oh what, man? It'd still be us. We'd still be putting the content out. Some of our readers would come over. Some of them might get confused or whatever, lost. Honestly, if they can't figure it out and we're very clear and direct about it, then we don't want those readers anyway. They're kind of retarded. We don't want them, right? Yeah, I mean, basically it's better to focus on putting value out rather than the silly stuff about your business that's not going to matter until the business is viable anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look, feel is important with any design approach, but only if your business is or your product has legs and it's marketable. That's the only time this look and feel design problems really become an issue.
Well, the funny thing is people don't care as much as you think they're going to. They don't care about whether the logo was a little down or a little to the right or whatever. That's not even something they're going to think about. They're going to care about the value you provide them. We're selfish in nature, right? So do I get anything out of this guy or these guys, or do I not? That's the most important thing. So if you're going to focus on anything, focus on the value you're providing, the message and not the medium.
Yeah. Test that, tweak it later. And when you do get to the tweaking part, we're big fans of the crowdsourcing, and we always say crowdsource, 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 because you will get as many design options as you can possibly handle that you never would have been able to do by just hiring one person individually.
Well, the truth is we're not terribly creative guys when it comes to that type of thing anyway, right? Like logo design, oh my God, I have no idea. But if I can get 40, 50, 100 examples from other guys, take a look at them and quickly pick which one, that's great. Again though, we spent some time on 99 Designs really digging through it. You have to make it easier for yourselves and go with your gut, right?
Yep, and that's why these kind of things are better handled down the line and not in the initial stages of a business.
Yeah, so in the end, with all these recurring distractions, this is going to be a never-ending battle. We struggle with this on a daily, on a weekly basis. We have some tips, we have some ways to handle it. We hope we've covered that for you. But it's something that we're struggling with today. It's something we're going to struggle with tomorrow, right?
Yeah, on Friday, the girls were here around a table, 5 of them, getting the stuff done for BIR, which is the equivalent of the IRS here in the Philippines. It was quite distracting to have them here all day focusing on that kind of stuff. But that kind of stuff, if we were in a startup situation, it can kill a startup company if you as the owner, as the entrepreneur, as the visionary are focused on those distractions. Absolute death to a business.
Yeah, that's a quick way for startups or business ventures to die. It's because they get caught up in the bureaucracy, or it's not really something they know how to handle, so they kind of leave it alone or ignore it, right? And don't actually get the stuff taken care of they need to get taken care of.
Yeah, so make sure you're creating value for yourself and others through focused goals and milestones. I don't care what software you use to track that. I don't care if you use Google Calendar or you're going deep into it, but not too deep into it, and using something like Basecamp. But make sure you're hitting those milestones and make sure you're getting things done so that in 3 months from now, you're a lot further along than you were 3 months ago.
Yeah, I don't care what your logo looks like. Just provide me value because I'm selfish and I want to know what you guys can provide for me. That's the most important.
The AdSense Flippers Podcast continues.
Well, that's it for the heart of this week's episode. Let's get right into the ninja marketing tips, tricks, and our plans for the future. The first tip we have for you is from OmWriter. Basically, this is a program that will take over your entire screen. It plays some nice, relaxing music, and you can just knock content out, man. I did it this weekend. I was at a coffee shop. It was a little loud. Put the headset on, had the music going. I was just able to knock out some content. It was great. Put out 1,000 words. Really, really easy. So you should check it out. With the headphones on, it really makes it great because you get the little music and it kind of keeps you away from the other people that are walking around and doing stuff,
Yeah, speaking about headphones, I bought a nice $100 set of over the headphones, big, comfy, cushiony ear sets, and nice cushion on my head and everything. And it really does kind of a noise canceling thing, which is good for a loud, distracting office like we have. I can kind of just get into work and get it done.
I tried them on, man. They're pretty cool, but you look like an air traffic controller with them on, man. Like you're directing planes or something. It's crazy. Next tip is that you shouldn't be afraid to be overly aggressive at protecting your in-the-moment activity. So if you're doing something right then, shut off the laptop before having a meeting, right? Have a no interrupt period. So, in our life and our work, there are a lot of people that are working around us and they come up to us for signatures, for this, for that. And I don't feel bad at all about shutting them down, sometimes a little rudely, but like shutting them down so that we can continue whatever it is that we're happy to be focused on at that time. I read a great article about this guy who got so bad. Like, people would come in his office and he would just like shut them down right away so that he could focus on whatever task at hand. It's much better because, you know, when you start getting more busy and there's more going on, there's more moving pieces, it can be really distracting having all these people come to you.
Yeah, you need to build momentum, especially when you're doing stuff like writing blog posts or putting out content or doing keyword research.
Coding, right?
Yeah, once you get into it, it's the kind of thing, once you get distracted, even for a little minor thing that takes 30 seconds, you have to build up all that rhythm and momentum again.
Yeah, if you're at your desk or whatever, take away some of the things that distract you. Make sure everyone knows to leave you alone so you can just knock out what you need to do. Now, you may have a baseball there, whatever, you kind of toss in the air a little bit to like help you think, but you know, anything else, anything that like really distracts you, surfing or whatever, just get away from it.
It's our last tip, you know, talking about something to listen to at work. I love the ability to listen to radio at work, and there's some good internet radio out there from a place called TuneIn Radio and Live 365. They have a kind of a freemium model where you can subscribe if you want to get the commercial free, but even the ad-supported version is not that bad. So if you're the kind of guy like me who doesn't want to sit there selecting his music and doing playlists or buying CDs or anything like that, check these one out.
What's the music thing we can't use out here in the Philippines? Is fantastic.
Pandora, Justin.
Yeah, Pandora's fantastic, man. I really wish we had that here in the Philippines. You know, it's something I would listen to on a regular basis, but unfortunately, we just don't have it. I mean, it sucks. There's so many different like pieces of content that we're not able to access being here in Southeast Asia. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, you could always do the hiding your IP thing and trying to come from America and stuff like that, but it's never as fast and never seems to be as good as it is back in the good old USA.
Well, that wraps up episode 16 of the AdSense Flippers podcast. Thanks for staying with us. You can check us out at AdSense Flippers on Twitter or Facebook.com/AdSense Flippers. We're putting new photos up, like talking a little bit about what we have going on. Also talking about nichesforcharity.com, our latest charity project. So you should definitely check that out. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye, everybody.
You've been listening to the AdSense Flippers podcast with Justin and Joe. Be sure to hit up AdSenseFlippers.com for more. That's AdSenseFlippers.com. Thanks for listening.